Hey guys, I'm going to get right to some questions from the Sunday video clips. Some interesting things have come in, so I just figured I would address them. Basically, the questions revolve around I thought that exercise was good for you, and how much exercise, how often, etc. And I think the best way to answer this question is to understand a concept known as hormesis. And hormesis is an important term, and I guess the best way to define it is simply when you expose your body to a certain amount of stress, your body finds ways to evolve and overcome that stressor over time. You're basically teaching your body how to overcome stress. This is a really important concept. It's something we've talked about in the past, but I want to elaborate on it a little bit because at this point we've had many conversations on topics that map onto this perfectly well. But let's just use a simple example like a game of chess. If you are a decent chess player, okay, and you play somebody who's horrible, you are going to learn nothing. I think you would agree by that, right? There's no benefit here by continuing to play people who barely understand how the pieces move. Similarly, you will learn nothing by playing a grandmaster. Now, you may think you will learn something. I assure you, you don't. The benefit that you're getting is when you play people close to your level or slightly better, right? The ideal situation is to continuously play people who are slightly better than you. Now, again, we could use any example here, right? We could use a baseball player, a batter. If you're talking about somebody who can hit a 60-mile-an-hour fastball, to put him up against a Major League Baseball player that's throwing the ball 103 miles an hour, you could throw him that pitch 1,000 times, he's not going to hit it. Okay, that's the equivalent of the chess player going up against the grandmaster. It's the same concept here, physically, mentally. We need the stressors to be within a certain zone. So let's explain that in terms of exercise. You may think you may think that you know where I'm going with this statement, but pay careful attention. Yes, it does matter as far as not training to failure. The biggest mistake people make in the gym is they train to muscle failure, meaning they do so many reps with such a heavy weight that they continuously push the weight until they can't get the next rep. So in a set of 10, they're going to go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to try to get to 8, and they're shaking, and this is a very bad way to improve. It's a very easy way to get hurt. So in general, you want the load and the frequency to be in a state where it's challenging your body, but it's not destroying your nervous system. This is also true for mitochondrial health, right? In the tissue, the muscle tissue itself, the mitochondria will respond in a similar fashion. We already talked about how mitochondria will regenerate in such a way that depending on the demands put on it. But if you continue to put too much demand all the time, you're going to create a bad situation with mitochondria where you're going to create so much oxidative stress over the course of time, meaning if you keep training too hard, too often, too much, this is as bad for mitochondrial health as not exercising at all. So there is that sweet zone, whether we're talking about the biology, whether we're talking about the nervous system, there's a sweet zone for hormesis within the body when it comes to physical training. But similarly, we've talked about other things. And let me just, before I continue on, let me just be clear that everybody's going to be a little bit different, right? Not just in terms of strength and endurance, but and age and gender. But at the end of the day, you have to be in touch with your body with, can I get the next rep or not? So in general, I aim for people to, if I know that they can do 10 reps with a weight, I'm going to have them do 8 reps. That would be their hard set or their hard sets, and depending on who they are. I don't want them shaking. I don't want them breaking form. That's what getting strong is about. It's about teaching your body to stay under load with very good technique for longer periods of time, or with maximal loads. Now, what other things have we talked about that is of benefit to the body? We've talked about heat exposure. We've talked about cold exposure. These are also versions of hormesis. Even certain supplements work via hormesis. Meaning they're stressing the body in such a way that over time it has a better outcome for you. But in terms of cold exposure, we talked a lot. I mean, I already put out a bunch of stuff about the sauna. But if you guys missed last fall, where we talked a lot about cold exposure and mitochondrial health, again, the benefits you're going to see continue to come out in the literature has to do with the browning of fat. And the browning of fat is a good thing. People that live in colder climates tend to have more brown fat because they're exposed to the cold. And what is that? What's happening there is it's your body's response. So in the electron transport chain, instead of so where you have the body making ATP and ADP, that there's actually a change when the body's exposed to cold, where you get what's called mitochondrial uncoupling in the fat tissue itself. And what happens is the body is creating more mitochondria and stronger mitochondria, and that's what's actually turning the fat brown, is the mitochondria itself. And this is how the body responds to the cold. Now, why is it doing that? Because this is how the body can now create heat. It can now use the fat to create heat within the body. This is a response to cold. Now, what happens if I stuck you in the cold for an hour and you didn't have that brown fat, or had very little brown fat? Well, you might die of hypothermia. That's a bad thing. So again, it's a matter of how much exposure you're getting over time. So you start off slow and you build. That's how we talked about cold exposure. There will be continuous, unbelievable benefits that you'll hear about over the course of the next few years about brown fat and cold exposure. But everything from brain health to heart health, these are all things that are absolutely true about intermittent cold exposure. But again, it's part of a hormetic response. So hopefully that answers your questions about what we're talking about here. Now, again, if you're doing things where it's causing pain, right? So if it becomes so uncomfortable, so difficult, you're not doing it right. So similarly, if you're doing push-ups and it hurts your shoulder, you're not doing it right. If you're training and you hate it and you don't want to be there, you're not getting the benefits. It's about context. It's about intention. It's about working for a goal in your brain. And this is not theoretical. This is not some bullshit that I'm blowing up, up your skirt about how the body works. The body works in terms of hormones. So how you feel is a function of hormones. The benefits that you're getting is going to be a function of hormones. So again, attitude matters, intention matters, all right? Showing up and understanding, aligning yourself with the goals matter. But if the shoulder hurts, you got to stop. That's a different signal. And that's what we're talking about on Sunday. When I put out those videos, I was being very specific about if you have physical pain, it could be the result of a car accident, it could be a result of a lifting injury, it could be a result of falling down stairs, whatever. It could be whatever it is. It doesn't matter. But if you're training in physical pain, that's what I mean. We're no longer talking about hormesis here. We're talking about a pain signal that is going to create a response in the body that is going to do things like inflammation and calcification over the course of time. And these are things that we don't want to happen. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense. And we'll do a lot of cool stuff on Sunday to explain this in more detail and show you guys better patterns for lots of stuff. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Please share it with somebody that you think will benefit. And have a great day, everybody.